In those days the crowd became very great, and they had nothing to eat. And Jesus called the disciples and said to them, I have compassion on the crowd, for they have now been with me 3 days, and they have nothing to eat. If I send them away hungry to their homes, they will faint along the way. For some have come from afar. And his disciples answered him, From where can anyone satisfy these people with bread here in the wilderness? And he asked them, How many loaves do you have? And they said, 7. And he commanded the people to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves, gave thanks, and broke them, and gave them to his disciples to set before the people. And they set them before the crowd. And they had a few small fish, and he blessed them, and said to set them also before the people. So they ate and were satisfied, and they took up 7 baskets full of the leftovers. And those who ate were about 4,000. And he sent them away. And he immediately entered a boat with his disciples and came into the region of Dalmanutha. And the Pharisees came out and began to question him. They wanted him to give them a sign from heaven to test him. And he sighed deeply in his spirit and said, Why does this generation seek a sign? Truly I say to you, there shall be no sign given to this generation. And he left them and entered the boat and again departed to the other side. Now the disciples had forgotten to take bread, and they had no more than a loaf with them in the boat. And he charged them, saying, Take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the leaven of Herod. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have no bread. Aware of this, Jesus said to them, Why do you discuss the fact that you have no bread with you? Do you not perceive nor understand? Have your hearts been hardened? You have eyes, don't you see? You have ears, don't you hear? And do you not remember when I broke the 5 loaves among 5,000? How many baskets full of pieces did you pick up? 12, they told him. And when the 7 among 4,000, how many baskets full of pieces did you pick up? And they said, 7. And he said to them, do not you understand yet? And he came to Bethsaida, and they brought to him a blind man and begged him to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the town, and when he'd spit in his eyes and laid his hands on him, he asked him if he saw anything. And he looked up and said, I see people walking, but they look like trees. After that he put his hands again upon his eyes and made him look up. And he was restored and saw everything clearly. And he sent him away to his house, saying, do not go into the town, nor tell it to any in the town. And Jesus went out with his disciples to the towns of Caesarea Philippi. And on the way he asked his disciples, saying, who do people say that I am? And they answered, John the Baptist, but some say Elijah, and others say one of the prophets. And he said to them, but who do you say that I am? And Peter answered him and said, you are the Christ. And Jesus warned them to tell no one of him. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders and the chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he spoke this openly. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But when he had turned around and looked at his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, get behind me, Satan! For you are not thinking of the things of God, but the things of man. And when he had called the people to him along with his disciples, he said to them, whoever wants to follow after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake and the gospel's will save it. For what shall it profit a man if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? For whoever is ashamed of me and of of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation. Of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he comes in the glory of his Father